Hello and welcome to another video of Pure Sim Gamer. Today I would like to show you how to start up an Airbus A320NX fly-by-wire from cold and dark, including entering the complete flight plan into the MCDU and then take off and fly the SID out of Zagreb. As you can see on the map, we are located at Zagreb International Airport, which is in Croatia. And the first thing I want to do is load the flight plan from simbrief, which I prepared earlier. So I click on Import Flight, Import from simbrief, and this is the flight plan we have from Zagreb to Dubrovnik, and we can simply load it. And as you can see, here is our flight plan from Lima Delta Zulu Alpha to Lima Delta Delta Uniform. Now let's get started. The first thing that we are going to do is have a look at the flight path. We can bring up the flight path by clicking on it. And there are several things to do when you want to import the simbrief flight data. First of all, you have to import it into the flight path, but later on you also have to import it into the MCDU. So first thing that we are going to do is import simbrief data. And there you have it. We have Lima Delta Zulu Alpha, which is Zagreb, to Lima Delta Delta Uniform, which is Dubrovnik. We have our weather information, the air pressure, the wind speed, the temperature, the dew point, and we even have the alternate airport, which is Split. Next thing we are going to do is load the fuel. As you can see outside, there is a fuel car available. And here it is, and it will load enough fuel for our route, and also if we would have to go around at Dubrovnik to fly to the alternate airport of Split. So going to fuel, we have to enter here the estimated the fuel that needs to be loaded, and this is something you can find in the operational flight plan. If you click on the second icon here and you go to fuel, planned fuel, then see block fuel is 4,706 kilograms or 4.7 tons. We enter this here, 4,700 kilograms, and we can start filling the tanks by clicking here. Now actually normally the plane would defuel if there's too much fuel, or fuel if there's too much not enough fuel, but now we seem to have already the right amount of fuel in the wingtips, so the refueling doesn't have to be done. So having done that, we are going to do some pre-startup preparations. We are going to check some things. We want our parking brake to be set on. We want our flaps to be up, retracted. We want to disarm our speed brake. We want our throttle to be in neutral, and we want our landing gear to be placed downwards. Then we can go to the overhead panel and start to provide power to our flight displays. So next to battery 1 and battery 2, you have two knobs which allow you to turn on the batteries of the plane. So click both of them As we have externally a car here with a generator that can plug into the plane, this means we have external power available. It says here external power available. So we are going to use external power. This is going to start some noise. But now at this point, our plane is provided by power by the external generator. A good thing to do now is to supply the crew with oxygen. Of course they have oxygen now, but in the air at an altitude of flight level 30, the air is very thin, so the plane will supply oxygen, so we click on supply oxygen. We need to turn on our flight displays. These are the adders here. Turn 3 of them on. And then we can also already fix the lights. At this time we want to have seatbelts on light and smoking on light. And it's time to put on the fuel pumps. This will open up the tubes that provide fuel from the wingtips to the engines. So we click 3 on the left and 3 on the right, and that's our preparation to start up the engines later on. Now as we will be busy preparing the MCDU or the flight computer, we will already ask the passengers to board. So you can go to the flight tab, to this little icon here, payload, load from simbrief the passengers. You can see there's 170 passengers, this cargo of 3,400 kilograms. And if you click here, begin boarding, then as it is instant now, it's happening immediately. You could put it to fast, then you would hear the people board. But now we have a plane with the weight of our plane, the weight of our fuel, and the weight of our passengers, and the weight of our cargo. This will be important later on in the MCDU. So let's head over to the MCDU. First thing to do is go to MCDU.
Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, on behalf of myself, your captain, the first officer, and cabin crew, I'd like to take this time to welcome you aboard our flight. We're just wrapping up some paperwork up front here and waiting to receive final numbers from the ground crew, then we'll be on our way. Flight attendants will be coming through the cabin shortly with a very important safety briefing. We do ask that you give them your full, undivided attention as they review the safety operations of this Airbus aircraft. We do appreciate your business having you aboard this flight. If there's anything we do to make your flight any more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask. Welcome aboard.
Welcome aboard. So you click on MCDU menu, go to ATSU, go to AOC menu, to init, and what we are going to do is now load. We already loaded the simbrief data in the flight pad. Now we have to load it into the MCDU. So init data request, if you click on that, then you will see that our call sign for this flight is Charlie Yankee Lima 875er. Our departure is the IACO code for Zagreb. The destination is the IACO code for Dubrovnik. Fuel on board 4.7 ton. Estimated time in air 43 minutes. Let's head over to the flight plan. Oh no, first we have to go to init, and of course we have to request our flight plan from simbrief into the MCDU. Clicking init request, we have the from and the to. with our alternative, our flight number, the cost index. The flight level will be flight level 31 or 31,000 feet with a temperature up there of 46 degrees. And that's when we can go to the flight plan. Now the flight plan is pre-filled with the origin, from, some waypoints and the destination, LDDU. What we have to do is enter also the standard instrument departure or the SID and the arrival, the standard arrival into the computer. For that I will open Navigraph charts, and let me resize this a little bit. If we go to flights and we look at the origin, you see that we have a departure on runway 4 of TEBL1W, Table 1W. So that's what we want to add as a departure. So you click on the departure airport, click on departure, runway was runway 4, and we scroll to our SID. Click on the SID and insert it. At this point it added some waypoints for the departure, and we have to do the same for our destination, for the star. So we click on the destination, LDDU, arrival, and here we need to choose the runway and the star for the arrival. So let us consult the Navigraph charts. At LDDU it's runway 11, arrival NERA 2Z. So runway 11, NERA 2Z, and let us insert this. Now returning to the flight plan, you will see that the flight plan is completely inserted, but there are some discontinuities in the flight plan, and we have to remove those discontinuities. I'm scrolling to the origin. So Lima Delta Zulu Alpha 04 is Zagreb runway 4. It brings us to the Tabli transition point. Then we have a flight plan discontinuity. Hit clear and click on the flight plan discontinuity. Scrolling further, we see that we have waypoint Oxig, Netco, NERA, PLAP, and then we have another flight plan discontinuity. You can see it here. We have to clear that. Scrolling further, I think there's no more discontinuities. We have here runway 11 at Dubrovnik. So our flight plan is complete. Let's verify that visually by looking at the flight display. Trying to resize this. So on the flight panel we put it to plan mode. Set the range a little bit lower, and now we are going to try to scroll through it. So I go to the MCDU, and you can see our airplane here at Zagreb, and if I scroll through it, It brings us to LDDU. What we want is no discontinuity in the green line here. So going back to the flight panel, zooming out a little. We see that we have the complete flight plan with no discontinuities. It means we have one connected green line, so we can conclude that our flight plan has been entered correctly into the MCDU. But that isn't all for the MCDU. We still have to do some preparations. Usually you would have a look at the secondary flight plan. That's for the flight plan for the alternate airport, but this is not already implemented in the Airbus 320. Then we go to RadNav for the frequency at our destination airport. I verified it earlier. This is the correct ILS frequency, 109.50. We have to revisit the init page, but go to the second page. Do this by clicking here. And now we have to enter the block fuel in tons, which was 4.7. Block fuel 4.7. Now what we want to do now is load information about our weight. So click on this button here twice, and you will see our zero fuel weight. So the plane without fuel is 60.2 tons. The weight with passengers, with fuel, for the passengers and the fuel is 24 tons. We have to enter now the trip wind. That means the wind at altitude. Do we have a headwind or a tailwind? You can verify that on the operational flight plan in the flight path. So going to the operational flight plan, you see here average wind. It is 009 tailwind. Back to the MCDU. 009 trip wind. It's a tailwind, so we will be a little bit faster, and you can see that the time has been calculated for our route. We have to continue with the MCDU and go to the performance page. We are going to a flaps 1 takeoff. That means flaps will be on 1 when we take off. So I enter 1 for flaps. And then we can calculate the speeds for takeoff. So our rotation speed will be 130 knots. And with that, we have completely entered the information needed for the flight computer to let us do this flight. So next thing, we are going to start up the engines. So heading back to the overview overhead panel, we are going to signal to the people around the plane that we are about to start our engines. So put on the beacon lights. This is actually a light that you can see here on top of the plane, and there's also one on the bottom of the plane that tells the people around the plane that we are about to start the engines. And for an aircraft like this one to start up, it actually needs some kind of little...
We'd like to welcome you on board. Your safety is our top priority, so we appreciate a few minutes of your attention while we demonstrate the safety features of this aircraft. You You can follow along with the safety information card in your seat back pocket. So you fasten your seatbelt, insert the flat metal end into the buckle and pull on the strap to tighten.
So we need actually alternator engine that is on the airplane that will help start up the engines. That's called the APU. Turn on the APU master switch, turn on the APU start, and then turn on the APU bleed. At this moment we don't need external power anymore, so we can switch off external power.
Light on the shoulder will turn on automatically in water, and remember, never inflate your vest inside the aircraft. This Airbus A320 is 8 emergency exits, 2 doors in the front, 4 window exits over the wings, and 2 doors
And
in the
now we
back.
can request pushback, and we will start up the engines.
All exits are clearly marked with a sign overhead. If necessary, floor level lighting will illuminate the aisle top you find the exit. Please take a moment now to locate your closest exit, and remember it may be behind you. If there is a change in cabin pressure, 4 oxygen masks will drop from overhead. Firmly pull the mask towards you to start the flow of oxygen. Place the mask over your nose and mouth, pull the elastic bands around your head, and tighten the straps on both sides. Even though the bags are not inflated, oxygen will be flowing. Be sure to put your mask on first before helping others. I will let you know when it's normal for you.
I have an issue with the flight displays. We'll see if they come up again. Yes, they come up again. So let us request pushback. Connect to ground services. Tune Zagreb ground and request pushback.
Zagreb ground Purism 7787 requesting pushback.
Purism 7787 pushback request accepted.
For the pushback to work, we have to disengage the parking brake, and we can switch the engine selector modes to ignition and toggle the engine to on.
Zagreb ground Purism 7787 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the right.
Purism 7787, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
Can flip up engine number 2.
Zagreb ground Purism 7787 requesting the end of pushback.
Purism 7787 request to end pushback received.
Let me put on the parking brake again. Now let's have a look at our departure, our standard instrument departure, what we can expect. Bringing up Navigraph charts. We know that we have the table 1W departure. Let me bring up the overlay chart, and you will see that we have to go to waypoint Zulu Alpha 803, where we need to have an altitude of 3,000 feet. Then we will climb further to an altitude to maximum 7,000 feet at Zulu Alpha 804, and then we will be brought to waypoint Tebli, where we need flight level 10. So take off, turn to the right, 3,000 feet, 7,000 feet, and 10,500 feet. Let us taxi to departure. I already entered 3,000 feet for the first waypoint. Put it in managed mode, and we can taxi to the departure. Parking brakes off. One thing that needs to be done is also to turn off the APU. We can turn off the APU bleeds, we can turn off the master because our engine has been started. So it's not really a sunny day, it's clouded. We can expect to delve into some clouds at takeoff. As usually, if you learn something from this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. You can also comment. I love to get comments, questions. I'll try to address them. And I hope you enjoyed this video so far.